Good morning. The August 19th Board of Education meeting is now in session. Please rise for the invocation. O God, we pray to administer that which is just in all educational policies, being ever mindful of your guidance, stir us to action with love, wisdom, and understanding. The pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 2.03, approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? Minutes are approved. Item 2.04, establish agenda order, and the agenda stands as published. Item 2.05, recognitions. We don't have any recognitions today. And 2.06, school and community highlights. Ms. Hummer?
Yes, I had the pleasure of going to the Fort Meade National Night Out, and can I say that the school and military liaisons are just fabulous, and they were out there talking with the parents, and all the schools were represented, and it's a fabulous event. Fort Meade has won the best national night out of the military for the past couple of years, and I can totally see why, because it was a great event. And then last week, I can't say enough about how fabulous the Unlocking Our Potential conference was. It was so exciting to be there. There's about 500 plus educators there. Dr. Pedro Noguera was an amazing speaker, and everyone there, it made me want to get back in the classroom because it was such a wonderful event. And so hats off to Anthony Alston from the Office of Equity and Accelerated Student Achievement, and Bobby Pedrick from Special Education. They and their teams did a great job, and thank you so much for letting me be a part of it.
Mrs. Ritchie?
So it's been kind of a quiet summer, but yesterday we had some excitement. If anybody saw the Capitol today, we had the opportunity to go with some people from North County, the administrative team, Principal Julie Karras, her APs, Alina Thomas, Megan Lewis, Ryan Sackett, Ann Harding, and Kelly McAvee, along with PPW worker Libby Wesley and STEM teacher Bill Forrester, as well as the principal and Principal Blondell and her team from Park Elementary. And we walked through the community and just kind of handed out information to kids and to parents about back to school. And the one really, I mean, the whole thing was cool, but the really cool part was that Dr. Arlotto, during LDI, in the excitement of the Leadership Development Institute closing ceremonies, volunteered to ride the bike, the food bike. And it was an inaugural ride, so we were all holding our breath to make sure that there was not going to be any injuries or any problems there, but he did an admirable job, and the bike held up well. This was a project from one of the LDI students, and the STEM students from North County built the bike, and not bike, but the platform that the food boxes sat on and stuff. And so we were able to pedal through the neighborhood and to give out some popsicles and things like that. And it's the bike is going to be able to be used by all the schools in that community. It's not just for North County, but any of the other schools that want to use it as well. So it was really very cool, and I applaud that team. I was able to take the walk with them, and I thoroughly had a great time, even though it was a little bit warm. But
Mrs. Nally?
I just want to share with you that many of us, Dr. Arlotto and Solon Webb and Tom Frank and Allison Picard and I attended, did I leave someone out? I don't think, attended the summer school graduation ceremonies. And it is always a pleasure to share the stage with these students and listen to their stories of the obstacles that they've overcome to graduate, and the impact that our staff, I want to pay particular attention to Dr. Nelson Harine and his staff for the really what they do to help these students meet their goals. One student that spoke had actually dropped out for a semester, and it, according to her, made some bad choices, unfortunate choices, and yet was able, through the help from our staff, was able to guide and get back into high school, and has goals set, one to go in the military, another to go to, going on to college. So these are students that are really, because of us, have unlocked their potential. So thank you to all those, and it was a pleasure to be there at that ceremony. Thank you.
And I had the chance last Monday to welcome our new teachers at Old Mill High School. And Flory, do we have a grand total count for how many we've hired to date? Over 500, right?
Oh, it's over 500. It was, for my presentation today, I think it's 549 as of Monday and counting.
Impressive job to you and all of your staff. And on Saturday, the board had a chance to get together and have a retreat at Annapolis Elementary School, just to sort of get to know each other's strengths better and plan for the upcoming year. And then at the end, we got out our paintbrushes. We were inspired by Anthony Alston's presentation to build some, well, not build, paint the little free libraries. We had help building them. So we're looking forward to stocking them and getting them out into our communities. So thank you. Item 2.07 is the CRASC report.
Good morning, President Korbelak, Dr. Arlotto, and members of the board. My name is Scott Howarth. I'm a junior at Arundel High School. It's been a really long summer, and I'm pretty sure the last CRASC report was given by Jacob. There have been a few changes within our organization, and I'm thrilled to bring you up to speed. Last May, CRASC elected a new panel of officers to lead this year's student body of nearly 81,000 students. Elected as our new secretary, Hannah Mitchell from Arundel High School has been an active member of CRASC for 3 years. She is working hard at revitalizing our social media presence and maintaining an ongoing dialogue between our organization and schools. From Severna Park High School, Viraj Shah, a seasoned leader, has been elected as treasurer. He spoke at the county budget hearings last year, and this year he will be coordinating our community activism. The face you'll be seeing the most of is Michael Moore from Severna Park. As second vice president, he will be our direct liaison to the board and to the central office in general. Michael is interested in the process of curriculum writing and countywide policy development.
Thank you, Scott. Additionally, from Severna Park High School, CRASC has elected Alex McGrath as our first vice president. It is the responsibility of this officer's position to be our liaison to various elected government offices. Alex brings a ton of experience and enthusiasm. He advocated for funding by speaking at the county budgetary hearings last year. He provided the written CRASC testimonial statements on bills regarding student board members, and this past summer he interned with Congresswoman Donna Edwards. After leading the team for 2015 to 2016 school year is Scott Howarth. Scott has been an active member of CRASC since 6th grade. He has served as a school-based delegate, middle school coordinator, and he co-chaired the Legislative Liaisons Committee. He served last year as a treasurer and generally steps up whenever needed. We all feel really good about him taking the reins, and we are excited to see the direction our organization will take in the next school year. While it's still early, I can report that this team is engaged in an intensive leadership development program in June, including days spent with the Baltimore Outward Bound School and the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. Just last week, we all got together for a fun team building activity sailing historic ships in Annapolis Harbor. Thanks to Miss Kathy Lane and Lynn Weiss for joining us, and thanks Michael Edgar for coming along and take these beautiful photographs of us. And thank you for allowing us to represent the students of Anne Arundel County.
Thank you. Item 2.08 is the 21st Century Education Foundation report.
President Korbelak, Vice President Nally, members of the Board of Education, and Dr. Arlotto. I'm Carol Ann McCurdy, and since July 1st of last year, I've had the pleasure of serving as the Executive Director for the 21st Century Education Foundation. The mission of the 21st Century Education Foundation is to promote collaborative efforts to match the needs of the public schools of Anne Arundel County with the resources of the surrounding businesses, individuals, and communities. To support the needs and achievements of all students, the foundation works closely with AACPS and the community to connect the private sector with education. Since 1997, the 21st Century Education Foundation has provided thousands of dollars in grants, books, scholarships, school supplies, and incentive items for classroom teachers and students. This 501c3 nonprofit also sponsors Leadership Development Institute, known as LDI, a year-long program designed to enhance the leadership capacity of AACPS employees. Last school year, the 21st Century Education Foundation raised $154,964 and increased awareness in the community about the many needs of the school system that are not fully funded through taxpayer dollars. I'd like to give you just a few highlights from the year. Beginning last fall, the foundation conducted an employee giving campaign for AACPS employees working in central and satellite offices. Later in the school year, the foundation participated in the Anne Arundel County Great Give. Both of these campaigns were new to the foundation and were designed to increase awareness about the organization and the needs of the school system while raising funding for specific programs and initiatives. Last year, individual contributions totaling over $36,000 were made, while these individuals learned both about AACPS and the foundation. The foundation's networking breakfast with the superintendent has been held for the past 8 years. Last September's sold-out event gave more than 220 people the opportunity to listen to Dr. Arlotto, our then new superintendent, share his vision for the school system, and recognize business partners for the work that they do in our schools. This event raised almost $28,000. A new event for the foundation brought together school system officials and business and community leaders for an evening of networking on the water in Annapolis. Anchors Away raised over $17,000 and provided participants with an opportunity to discuss ways they could work together to support our students. In addition to events and fundraising campaigns, more than $33,000 was raised last year from contributions by corporate sponsors and grants from community organizations. So where's the money going, and how does the 21st Century Foundation support our students and schools? With our school system's focus on our youngest learners, the foundation provided over $10,000 to support early literacy efforts and initiatives. Class sets of tablets are being purchased for 8 classrooms in 2 of our elementary schools to be used in kindergarten literacy centers. Recognizing the importance of student activities and leadership opportunities, the foundation has donated more than $13,000 for student clubs, academic competitions, summer workshops, and conferences. As a result of this funding, 4 new elementary clubs focusing on the performing and visual arts will be offered to students this year. Also, this funding will be used to defray the cost for approximately 30 to 50 students who advance to regional or national competitions and events, such as MESA National Engineering Design Competition, Destination Imagination Global Finals, and the Model UN Conference. Some of this funding was also used to host the 2015 Anne Arundel County Spelling Bee and send the winning student to the national competition. The foundation has also worked with the Glen Burnie Rotary and the Helping Teachers Teach Foundation to raise more than $10,000 to purchase tablets and charging stations for the AVID programs at Marley Middle and Corcoran Middle Schools. Distributed more than $17,000 directly to our schools. Been presenting sponsor of last week's Unlocking Our Potential conference, hosted by the Office of Equity and Accelerated Student Achievement in the Division of Special Education, giving over 525 participants, most of whom were teachers or school-based administrators, the opportunity to learn from national experts and each other. Assisted organizations that support our students. Almost $29,000 was provided to the Anne Arundel County Food and Resources Bank, the Anne Arundel County Department of Social Services, and other programs to provide nutritional meals, school supplies, clothing, and other basic needs to families living in poverty in our county. This school year, the 21st Century Foundation will fully fund the Leadership Development Institute for the 37 new participants who were accepted into the 6th cohort. This diverse group includes representatives from offices and schools throughout AACPS who are all interested in building their leadership skills. This is only a sampling of the great things that can be accomplished when the business community raises private dollars to support our students and our schools. The members of the 21st Century Education Board of Directors are making connections and identifying the resources that increase not only funding for programs and initiatives, but awareness in the community about what is being done to promote access, equity, and excellence throughout our county schools. At this time, I would like to invite the members of the Board of Education to come to the front as the following 21st Century Education Foundation directors from 2014-15 come forward for a presentation. While all of our board of directors from last year were not able to be here today, we are very pleased to have Bonnie Johansson, Ray Stribe, Joe Green, Debbie Ritchie, and Sally Pelham.
And Bonnie's the president of the 21st Century Education Foundation. Yeah. Good to see you. Hello.
Doing okay? Good. Thanks for coming. Where do you want us? Where do you want me to go? In the middle. In the middle.
And Mike.
Dr. Arlotto. I'm just taking pictures.
Our photographer.
Logically. Let's see, Dr. Frank, yes, sir. All right, I think got everybody in there, and we'll just level the checkout on Ms. Johansson's side. Yep, thank you. Here we go, everybody. Looking this way, we'll take 3 shots.
Exactly.
Mrs. Ritchie?
I just want to take a moment just to say thank you very much. I've had the privilege to be a part of this board for, or the 21st Century Education Foundation board for, I believe it's like 8 years. I think I'm like 3 years into my second term or something. But anyway, it's been a really great year. I want to, Ms. Johansson's already left, but I want to just thank her. She's been the president for the foundation for the past 3 years and has done an absolute phenomenal job in helping us to move forward and to get where we need to go. And so I'm very pleased that they had an opportunity today to come forward and to bring information.
Thank you. We'll move on to the public comment portion of the meeting. Anyone wishing to speak on an item not on today's agenda may offer testimony during this public comment portion of the meeting. Speakers will be allotted 3 minutes each, and the board asks that comments remain civil and appropriate for the various audiences that may be watching or viewing the meeting. Student-specific and personnel matters are confidential and cannot be discussed in this forum. This time is intended for speakers to voice their opinion and not necessarily as a question and answer period. Speakers may pose questions, but answers will be counted toward the 3-minute allotment. For the record, please give your name before speaking, and handouts should be given to the board assistant. I don't have any completed cards for this portion of the meeting. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the board at this time? Okay. We'll move on to action items. Item 4.01, administrative personnel appointments. Dr. Arlotto, your recommendation.
Yes, ma'am. I recommend the personnel listed on the attached sheet be promoted and or appointed.
Second. All those in favor? Motion passes 900. Item 4.02, Personnel. Dr. Arlato, your recommendation.
Yes, ma'am. I recommend the board approve the actions as stipulated on the attached sheets.
All those in favor? Motion passes 900. Item 4.03 is a policy, Student Services JL. This is the third reading for this revised policy. Dr. Arlato, your recommendation.
Yes, ma'am. Excuse me. I recommend the approval of policy JL, subject to final correction for style and format.
Is there any board discussion? Is there any public comment on this policy? All those in favor? Motion passes 900. Item 4.04 is the policy non-certificated support staff, GCA, also a third reading. Dr. Arlato, your recommendation.
Yes, ma'am. I recommend approval of policy GCA, subject to final correction for style and format.
Second. Is there any board comment? Is there any public comment? All those in favor? Motion passes 900. Item 4.05 is policy GBF, recommendation for appointment of teachers and administrators. This is also a third reading. Dr. Arlato, your recommendation.
Yes, ma'am. I recommend approval of policy GBF, subject to final correction for style and format.
Second. Any board comment? Any public comment? All those in favor? Motion passes 900. Item 4.06 is policy GAO, medical benefits retirees. This is a second reading, and it's an information item only. Is there any board comments or questions? Is there any public comment? No, Mrs. Ritchie.
I just want to clarify the title, because in one part it says medical benefits, but we've crossed that out and had healthcare benefits.
Correct. So
Okay.
typically on the agenda, and you'll see this on another policy that's on
Oh,
today.
okay.
On the agenda and on the cover sheet, we reflect the old policy name, which is the policy name until you pass it to the new name. And since we're making a change to the,
Okay.
yeah, it's just reflected on the policy. But on the agenda, it'll be what it's currently called.
And no public comment. So this will now go on the website for 30 days? Or it's already been. We had no comments. Right. Item 4.07 is also an information item, policy GBA, executive staff. And this is was on the website and had no comments, correct?
That's correct.
Any board comments? Any public comment? Okay. Item 4.08, policy GAI, workdays and inclement weather. This is also a second reading and has been on the website without any comments. Are there any board questions or comments? Is there any public comment? Okay. Item 4.09 is the Millersville Elementary School Stormwater Management Inspection and Maintenance Agreement. This is an information to action item. Do I have a motion to move this from information to action?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? We now have an action item. Dr. Arlato, your recommendation.
Yes, ma'am. I recommend approval of the Millersville Elementary School Stormwater Management Inspection and Maintenance Agreement.
So moved. Second.
Are there any board questions or comments? Is there any public comment? All those in favor? Motion passes 900. Item 4.10 is the Woodside Elementary Stormwater Management Inspection and Maintenance Agreement. This is an information to action item. Do I have a motion to move this from information to action?
So
Second.
Went right to
All those
second.
in favor? We now have an action item. Dr. Arlato, your recommendation.
Yes, ma'am. I recommend the approval of the Woodside Elementary School Stormwater Management Inspection and Maintenance Agreement.
second.
Is there any board comment? Is there any public comment? All those in favor? Motion passes 900. The next item on the agenda is 5.01, the readiness for opening of schools presentation.
If I may, as the team is approaching the podium to give an update as to where we are for the readiness of school, this is an exciting time of year for us in education. As my opening now my 29th year in education, it's just incredibly exciting as we anticipate the students arriving, and also to dispel the misconception that during the school year during the summer we don't do a whole lot. It's an incredibly busy time of year for us in the summers, whether it's facilities, updates, and construction, or through the hiring process, or through curriculum and instruction and writing and implementation, and getting the schools ready, as Dr. Kubik and her team have done through the Office of School Performance. So it really is a very busy time of year, and I am very, very thankful for the team around me that does an incredible job and worked very, very hard this summer. So thank you to all of you. Dr. Kubik.
Good morning, President Corbett, Vice President Nally, members of the Board of Education, and Dr. Arlato. For the record, my name is Kathy Kubik. I'm with the Office of School Performance, and we're here today to present to you the readiness for the opening of schools. Before we begin, I'd like the members of the team, friends, and colleagues to introduce themselves.
Michelle Batten, Office of Curriculum and Instruction.
Mary Talar, Advanced Studies and Programs.
Sally Pelham, Office of Safe and School Student Support Services.
Flori Bozzella, Human Resources.
And Alex Shaknovich, Chief Operating Officer.
So as Dr. Arlato said, we're excited, we're nervous, we have a lot to say, it's all good. For the Office of School Performance, first the people. We have 20 schools opening with new principals this year. 18 of those principals come from within Anne Arundel County Public Schools, and 9 of those 18 are actually promotions from our own assistant principals. 52 schools will have changes in assistant principals, all of them coming from within Anne Arundel County Public Schools. Second, students and student schedules. Many thanks to our friends in IDD, particularly the Office of Student Data and Student Services with Ms. Pelham. We've worked hard this year to ensure to you that all of our students will start at the secondary level with a complete schedule. And as typical at this time of the year, we have counselors working to do those last few conflicts. At the elementary school level, we have all the homerooms ready to go for the little ones, and we're going to continue to expand the Triple E schedule that we started last year just within the North County feeder to also include the Meade and Southern feeder. For schools and school constructions, we're looking forward to seeing you at some of our ribbon cuttings. We have Crofton, we have Lothian, we have Mills Perot, and then there's a high school up the road called Northeast, all of them coming up with 4 ribbon cuttings. Additionally, as is usual this time of year, we're going to have 7 schools starting a day later than their colleagues to accommodate preparations due to construction projects. Fourth is athletics. Last year we had 10,115 athletes in 3 seasons over the year, 920 additional athletes in our unified athletic program. So this fall, we have all of our sports fully staffed with coaches, and all of those coaches have gone through the appropriate courses. Ms. Ritchie, care and prevention, CPR, concussion training, and heat acclimatization training. So they're all done. And as you know, all that hard work pays off, because last year our athletes brought home to the home of the apple 6 state championships, which was pretty cool. Fifth, the people in the Office of School Performance. We have 6 regional assistant superintendents, and we have 6 directors. And I want to ensure you that we've worked with all of our friends and colleagues here at the Board of Education to ensure a smooth opening. We've provided professional development to principals. We've met with leadership teams, all in our continued and intentional focus for our 80,539 students as of today enrolled, to ensure that we elevate all students and eliminate all gaps. And I'll turn it over to Michelle.
Good morning. I'm excited to share the work that has gone on in the Division of Curriculum and Instruction to prepare us for the new school year. During our July Curriculum Innovation Academy and Assessment Writing Academy, elementary and secondary teachers worked with department coordinators and resource teachers to rewrite curriculum for 61 courses. Assessments have been redesigned in the core content areas to focus on critical thinking, problem solving, and extensive writing so that students are having similar experiences throughout courses. This also enables us to further teacher collaboration. Coordinators and resource teachers have created approximately 100 new student learning tasks to support learning and build students' reading and writing skills. Throughout the summer, staff from Curriculum and Instruction, Advanced Studies and Programs, and Professional Growth and Development have collaborated to plan and deliver professional development opportunities for multiple audiences. Last week, our offices interacted with hundreds of new hires at our new teacher orientation. We also had 400 excited teachers moving through the halls of North County High School last Wednesday at our Mission Takeoff Conference, which rolled the new kindergarten and first grade curriculum. We also hosted the 4th annual English Language Learner Conference, involving more than 200 teachers over a 2-day period and highlighting a project-based learning approach to language development. Today, over 70 sessions are being held for elementary and secondary teachers throughout the school system as we make the final push to the start line of the 2015-2016 school year. I want to go back to the new kindergarten first grade curriculum for just a moment because we are thrilled to launch this effort. Through shared efforts, we have produced a child-centered curriculum for our young learners that features a new integrated learning platform that we believe truly meets the unique needs of our earliest learners. We are providing a variety of different resources to support kindergarten first grade teachers in the implementation of the new curriculum. In addition to guided reading books, development structured play supplies, and oral discourse materials, teachers will also have access to Learning Block professional development podcasts as they are released on our Blackboard site. Professional development is planned next month to continue our support of the K-1 rollout. The Office of Curriculum and Instruction is energized and enthusiastic for students' return on Monday.
Good morning. I'm thrilled to be here today as well to share what we in Advanced Studies and Programs have done over the summer and what is in store for our students as the year begins. Our mission of educating all of our students to be well prepared for college and the workforce continue to guide our actions. In STEM and BEMA, rising students in grades 6 through 11 participated in summer bridge experiences. For middle school, the focus was on exploration and included active engineering, team building, communication, and change making. For high school, the power of choice was incorporated. Sessions ranged from robotics, droning, and cyber STEM to biomedical, STEM quilting, and the physics of clay animation. Summer bridge sessions in PVA resulted in the creation of excellent artwork. For middle school, technique was the focus in fun, rigorous, and relevant sessions that were aligned to the PVA course of study, including performances by the Annapolis Shakespeare Company. For 9th and 10th graders, workshops and performances were experienced in addition to an arts festival. For rising PVA juniors, a study abroad opportunity in England was also given. In IB, the middle school summer bridge included Global Investigation and Innovation Academy. High school students, on the other hand, were offered a forensic summer camp and leadership series. Additionally, ASP offices designed new curriculum and engaged employees in motivating professional learning sessions. These included advanced learning strategies, IB training and coaching, collaborative decision-making, STEM infusion workshops that emphasize project-based learning, social responsiveness, and technology. And we sponsored our very first AVID training session that actually was located in Anne Arundel County for over 200 educators. Thank you, Dr. Arlato. We also updated technology connections for pre-K through 12th grade, organized a virtual learning classroom pilot for North County High School, scheduled and trained for broadcast and MVLO courses, and planned for co-curriculars that promote learning application and extension. Additionally, our collaborative efforts with curriculum instruction, as Kathy has stated, have supported the EEE expansion to elementary schools in the Mead and Southern clusters. We are thrilled to open 2 additional PYP schools and the county's 3rd STEM middle school magnet. We are also very excited to welcome our very first official PVA graduating classes at both Annapolis and Broadneck High Schools. The 2015-16 school year will be awesome. Thank you.
Good morning. The Division of Student Support Services is fully staffed for the upcoming school year. We have hired some terrific new staff, 6 psychologists, 2 social workers, 4 pupil personnel workers, and 11 school counselors, and have increased our staff diversity. We held an orientation for new counselors last week, and the excitement was absolutely contagious. Great new staff. The focus this year for the counselors will be on opening doors for all students. The Safe and Orderly Schools Office has worked collaboratively with school-based and central office staff at all levels to revise the Code of Student Conduct. Our staff will continue to provide professional development and support to schools this year on implementation of the code and on proactive measures we are employing to keep our students safe and in school. Alternative education staff will also continue to provide training for school staff on restorative practices to assist them in solving problems effectively, and will also align professional development of teachers and administrators with multi-tiered systems of support. We are very excited about the newly designed program at Mary Moss J. Albert Adams Academy. Staff has received extensive professional development on project-based learning and the use of AVID strategies, which will be a major focus this year. I want to say a few words about our CRASC students who have had a busy summer. Of special note was the development of the first intensive leadership camp. Students presented at the leadership conference that you heard about earlier as well, and attended additional leadership opportunities provided by the Chesapeake Bay Foundation and the Maryland Association of Student Councils. Our student member of the board, Jacob Horskamp, participated in the United Way Awards ceremony, highlighting a grant of over $260,000 to the Partnership for Children, Youth, and Families to support students experiencing homelessness in the Meade area. Initiatives for CRASC this year will include General Assembly legislation focusing on good nutrition, greater representation of CRASC from athletic teams and Special Olympics participants, and the promotion of greater cultural exchange among students. A final focus will be celebrating the Month of the Military Child through an assembly designed to familiarize students and families about resources available to them through AACPS, and of course our monthly CRASC reports. You will hear about our activities in detail. Of special note is our division's ongoing support of students, staff, and families with our trauma teams, which are deployed when there are unexpected traumatic events, such as the death of a student or staff member. It is in these situations that our staff shines the brightest. This summer alone, 2 middle school students, 1 high school student, and 3 staff members passed away. Supports provided personal outreach to the impacted family, principal, and staff, provision of counseling supports, and ongoing monitoring of need, including putting supports in place for the first day students return to a school after such an event. Our partnership with Human Resources and utilization of the Employee Assistance Program will continue to help our staff with any lingering concerns. Our test for support is always what is in the best interest of the child.
Good morning. The Division of Human Resources has been hard at work this summer, hiring new staff, supporting the voluntary transfer process, and transitioning employees who have separated from service either through retirement, which was well-deserved, or resignation. But the most exciting energy has focused around hiring staff for the 2015-2016 school year to ensure that our students have quality educators in all of their classrooms. With the opening of school just days away, we are continuing to work with school-based administrators to meet their staffing needs. As the board has heard, when school reopens, there are going to be many new faces in our schools. We have numerous administrative changes, as well as new faces in the teaching staff. As you've heard earlier, as of Monday, we had hired 549 new teachers for our students. That's slightly above the number last year at this same time, which was 528. We have many enthusiastic first-year teachers, right, Ms. Korbelak? As well as teachers coming to us with prior experience from other Maryland districts and out of state. And we are also welcoming 3 teachers from the Philippines. Included in our new hires are 89 teachers who are graduates of Anne Arundel County Public Schools. For elementary education positions, we had a very large pool of applicants, over 1,950, for approximately 224 positions that were filled as of last Friday. We're fortunate that in that area we continue to attract lots of quality teachers. We're also pleased to tell you that 26 of our candidates who participated in the 6th annual Teacher Diversity Recruitment Weekend accepted offers of employment and are in place to start the school year. In addition to the new hires, there are new staff members, as 454 teachers participated in the voluntary transfer process and secured new opportunities. We're starting the school year with 393 national board teachers in our schools, up from 350 last year, and they're distributed in all of our clusters. We currently have representation of national board teachers in 93% of our schools. As of Monday, there are 44 unfilled classroom positions, which include newly allocated elementary teacher positions to address last-minute enrollment increases, as well as full-time and part-time positions in hard-to-fill areas such as world and classical languages, technology education, special education, and math. All of these areas are critical shortage areas throughout the state, and positions that are vacant in those areas account for 26 of the vacancies. We are working hard to fill those, and as I speak today, we are processing and lowering that number of teachers. For the positions that we have not yet filled, we have 2,000 active substitutes ready to go and available for jobs until those positions are filled or until the teachers return back. As I would like to publicly acknowledge the work of the staff in HR, they've done an incredible job to try to make this transition into the 2015 school year a seamless one, and support from all of my colleagues in Anne Arundel County Public Schools as we work to fill the challenging needs of our students. Thank you.
Well, good morning. As Dr. Arlotto said, been quite busy this summer in what honestly is the shortest summer I've ever remember or encountered, given how late we closed last year and how early we reopened. So part and parcel with that, our facilities unit, as you know, is responsible for the upkeep, care, and maintenance of over 13 million square feet of real estate on over 3,000 acres of land. And they've been busy discharging in excess of $500 million worth of work in those. In fact, 60 of our 125 or so school facilities have and had active projects ongoing in them over the course of this summer. And equally important to that is the activity and the efforts of our dedicated operations, maintenance, and logistics staff that have worked tirelessly over the course of the summer in activities such as cleaning and preventive maintenance and stocking our school buildings to make sure that they're ready for our youngsters and our staff members the first they arrive. In the areas of food services, Food Nutrition Services is preparing to serve in excess of 5 million lunches this year, over 3 million breakfasts this upcoming year. The training and inspections of our cafeterias and kitchens is wrapping up this week, as is the stocking of our kitchens with goods, produce, commodities, etc. Our meal application benefits packages are up online, as is our automated My Meals Play Plus system, so families and parents can access that and begin setting up their accounts for the year ahead. And most importantly, again, there are no increases in prices for any of our meals or for our milk products in the year ahead, something we're very happy and proud to be able to announce. In the areas of transportation, we've got over about 700 buses that are prepared to transport in excess of 58,000 students this academic year. The training and licensure of the drivers and the aides is wrapping up this week, as have the inspections and certifications of those buses. The routes have been already published or available up on our website for anybody that wants to access that. And finally, our county traffic signal unit, as well as our police department school crossing guard unit, are both fully prepared and ready to stand up to support us on the first day of school. In areas of technology, thousands and thousands of computers have been refreshed, upgraded, replaced, or added over the course of the summer, as have hundreds of additional technology devices such as smart boards and document cameras and overhead projectors, etc. And significant work has gone into upgrading both our Wi-Fi and our internet connectivity and throughput to be able to support the increasing demands on technology and access to digital content. As I say at this time of year, we only have one chance to get this right. Every kindergarten and pre-K student only has one. First, sixth grade, first day in high school as a ninth grader. We only have one chance. This team has worked tirelessly over the summer to make sure that we get that right. We are prepared, we're confident, and we'll be ready on the 24th. And with that, we turn that over to the board for any questions that you may have.
Mrs. Ritchie.
I don't really have a question. I just want to say congratulations and thank you. You know, we always hear a lot of negative stuff and about how we're always off for the summer and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And the fact of the matter is that there are dedicated people in this building and throughout our school system who are working every day to ensure that we have programs that meet the needs for all of our students. And we should be very proud of that and take a moment to, you know, congratulate each other and say thank you, because what we offer kids is second to none in any county, and I'm very proud of the fact that we do this. I was in the grocery store the other day, heard two people who were talking, and they happened to be bus drivers, and they were talking about the training that they received and how prepared they felt and were ready to head back to school. And the one woman was like really excited, and I'm thinking, you're getting excited to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to start those cold buses. Good for you, and thank you very much. You know, I had the opportunity to run into somebody who, you know, was talking about coming to work for our school system and how excited they were, and they'd worked in other school systems and they were pleased with the stuff that was available, and she had no idea who I was. I mean, you know, we were just, it was in a conversation. So the buzz is out there. I hear the people that are talking about all the good stuff that's happening in our school system, and I'm hoping that this year maybe some of our media partners will remember that there's a lot of great stuff happening. There's some, you know, we got some bad things that are going to happen too, and that's par for the course for a system of our size. But I think we started on a positive note by having a positive story in the paper on the front page, and I hope that our year continues that way, because we're doing some great things for kids out there. And so thank you all very much. Take the weekend. Get ready for school.
Mr. Webb.
Thank you, Ms. Korbalak. Ms. Pizzella, you mentioned we had 549 new hires.
Yes, sir.
Is that a net increase? What's the net gain on our population of teachers? Do you know?
In terms of
New hires versus those lost?
we had, I can tell you that we had 568 resignations, and we had 315 retirements, but I believe of that retirement number, about 200 were teachers. I'm not sure the breakdown for the resignations, how many were teachers or teaching assistants.
So are we down or up as far as our number of teachers?
Up.
We're up. Okay, thanks.
Mrs. Birch.
Thank you. I want to echo my colleagues' comments. Thank you so much for everything that you've done to get things ready for all of our children for next week. I did have one question for Ms. Talar. For the middle school IB program, when they're obviously all whole school IB programs, so the summer bridge programs, how do students that go to that school have the opportunity, that would have gone to that school anyway, have the opportunity to participate in the bridge programs? Or are they only offered to the students who are going there as part of the magnet?
It's a whole school program,
Uh-huh.
so it would be offered to the students that actually participate in that program. When I discuss the two middle school options specifically, I can tell you that each of the IB programs are a little unique in what they offered.
Okay.
Old Mill actually offered the global investigation, whereas Innovation Academy happened through MacArthur.
And so that was open to any student coming
attended
into
that
the school?
program. That's
Okay,
correct.
so, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I just want to echo what Mrs. Ritchie said, to thank you all for all your work that you did over the summer. I wasn't going to tell you to take this weekend off, but maybe September you can find some time to breathe. Thank you all. The next item on the agenda is a review item 5.02, award of contracts. Is there any board comments? Is there any public comment? Okay, that brings us to our consent items, items 6.01 through 6.05. Do I have a motion to bundle and move them from information to action? It's coming up. All those in favor? We now have an action item. Dr. Arlato, your recommendation.
Yes, ma'am. I recommend the Board of Education award contracts as listed on today's agenda 6.01 through 6.05 inclusive.
Second.
I have an item 6.05. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Is there any board questions or comments on these contracts? Mrs. Birch.
I have a question on item number 6.05, the software for bus routing. I just want to hear from you, Mr. Shagnovich, as to, I mean, I see that you all did due diligence and, you know, did what you do and how you look very closely at all of the vendors and their offers and their bids and everything. But I noticed that the one that was selected costs over $100,000 more than the next one, and yet their total score was only a point higher. I just want to make sure that that $100,000 is worth that point. So if you could explain to me how that decision was arrived at, I would appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. For the record, Alex Shackno, Chief Operating Officer. So within the within all of our specifications, including this one, there is a scoring rubric that is put in as part of the specification so that all of the vendors know exactly which elements we're looking at and how we're weighting all those different elements so that they can be responsive to our requests and ensure that we receive all of the information that we need to undertake the proper evaluation. On a package such as this, it's fairly complex. It's not a simple commodity, so we're not just buying orange juice. So you can buy orange juice that meets the federal government specifications for orange juice, and now it's just the simplest, cheapest price. This is a professional product and requires a lot of complexity to it. So we have an evaluation process that assigns 70% of the total possible points to the technical evaluation, to the technical score, and the remaining 30% to the pricing component. So there is an exhibit that's attached to the cover sheet, and you'll see the 70% technical score evaluation. The vendor that is being recommended at this particular time scored 57 out of a possible 70 points on the technical evaluation. The second place vendor scored 49 out of a 70, and the third place vendor scored 31 out of a possible 70. So they're rank ordered in terms of the technical score. Again, that's a weighted average, that's 70%. And then the pricing factor actually is the inverse. You'll see that of the 30 possible points, the lowest cost vendor received all 30 points possible because it's simply a price component. And then mathematically, we do a proportion, a 30% proportion to the other two vendors. So you'll see that the vendor that's currently being recommended, because they had the highest price proposal, they received the lowest score in that 30% column that's attributable to pricing. We then add the weighted averages, so the 70% technical and the 30% pricing component together to come up with the total composite score. And the recommendation of the superintendent is and staff is based on that total combined score then, and you'll see that, that the Scion Systems group had a combined score of almost 76
Okay,
points.
so their technical score more than made up for the price, so it's one of those situations where you do get what you pay for.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Mrs. Nally?
I noted that in the first contract, 6.01 to 6.04, in each of those, our minority business enterprise achievement met or exceeded in each of those. And the 6.05, was it because there were just so few, or I didn't see an achievement, or am I just...
Right, well, remember that the bulk of that applies to our sort of construction and facilities activities in which we are mandated by the state to work towards MSBE compliance activities. We do, however, look for opportunities wherever we can on the rest of our spend, both on our operating budget as well as other areas of our capital budget. In this case, when you're looking for a software product, it's really for all practical purposes, they self-perform. It is their software. There's not a subcontracting or really many outsourcing opportunities. We're building a building, for example, you know, where the mason is putting up the masonry, but we can outsource the shipping possibly so that those cinder blocks and bricks come to the site. And so there are a lot of opportunities in that type of venue. But when you're buying a piece of software, those type of opportunities typically don't exist, or certainly not as prevalent as you would find in other areas.
Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
Mrs. Ritchie?
I know it's noted on the sheet, but could you talk just a little bit about the people or the organizations that are involved with the whole bid process, particularly as it relates to the software for the buses?
Yes, ma'am. Well, so we had a multi-team, multifaceted team that evaluated approximately 10 individuals and included individuals from the school district itself as well as from the county government. And I'll speak to that momentarily. But from the school system, we obviously had transportation, they're the obvious, but we also had representation from our financial unit, both of our budget and accounting units. We had representation from our student data unit and certainly from our instructional technology unit. The reason I mentioned the county is because the county government is an integral element in this procurement activity. The software system, as one of its many input data points, requires a very good, robust mapping mapping system. And so the county government, not the school district, the county government has a GIS, a Graphical Information Systems unit, where they maintain, in collaboration with the Planning and Zoning Office and their Department of Public Works, they maintain those digitized maps of the road networks in the county. So where are the roads, how wide they are, what's the speed limits on those roads, et cetera. That is critical that that information be accurate and transfer very well into any of the three vendors require that. And it's so integral, in fact, that we felt it's critical to have the county government partner with us on the Review and Evaluation Committee so that they could ensure that the mapping data that they possess, in fact, would talk and translate and correctly upload into the three vendors that were evaluated. Yes, ma'am.
Could you also just talk briefly, I know originally we had wanted one software package that would do billing and routing, and that was not available. So will this software, this bidder, work with eventual billing software? Did you all evaluate that piece?
Yes, ma'am, we did. So as I indicated in my initial response to Ms. Burge, there is a very robust laundry list of items that the vendor has to be able to comply with, both on the data input side, on the data processing side, and on the data outputting side. In order to be able to accurately pay our contractors, we need to know, miles driven, hours driven, to calculate both the hourly and the per mile rates. So that output data, in addition to obviously the routes and the schedules and the manifest for the drivers, one of the critical output data is in fact the data that we need to make those payments. And so that was a requirement that they demonstrate that their output data could be produced in a manner that would then become input data into a contractor pay software piece. So they were evaluated in that specific component and scored accordingly.
So we're in the process of searching for a billing software company.
Yes, ma'am.
at
We're in the
this point.
process of developing that solicitation. We wanted the routing software to be finalized and get the contract in place, and then move out on the implementation phase of the routing piece, and then behind that will come the contracting pay element of it. We currently have a contracting pay element on it, but it's very arcane, and certainly it would not work with the new system, so we need both. But it is fine to have the routing piece move out in advance, because it's not until we have the routing piece in place and beginning to output data that we really need a pay system as well. And we think we're confident that we'll be able to have both of them aligned properly.
So for the benefit of the public, if we vote this contract today and you procure the software, then what's the next step? Would we have to load data from all of our current bus routes?
Well, we will have a project kickoff meeting, of course. The vendor will come in, and us and a multidisciplinary team of school district individuals and the vendor will begin setting together a project plan, a project schedule. We'll identify what requirements they have, for example, in their what computer, what server are they going to require, so we can begin to place the orders for the hardware on which this is going to reside. But a very detailed project implementation plan, both in terms of activities or steps as well as time durations. If you hearken back to the presentation that I made to the board 6 months ago regarding the MGT plan, we sort of had this calendar that we created that sort of showed what those 10 or so discrete activities are, where they will occur over a series of X months, and how long those different durations are. So that will be the very first step once we have that onboarding process, is to develop that implementation plan, identify what resources are required, identify what the length of those different activities are, to begin to stand up the system. So we'll stand up the system first, and then after the system is fully set up, we'll begin running scenarios, modeling essentially the different routes. I would suspect you first start small and then go big. So you start by modeling a route, making sure a route works, and then you build up to an elementary school, then an elementary school and a middle school, and then you sort of scale this thing up, and at each and every one of these stages, you have to validate the results, because it's not as simple as flipping a switch and, voila, magic happens, and you've got routes for, 58, 59,000 students. You have to be very careful that it's not giving you erroneous results for a whole host of reasons. It could be sending a bus the wrong way down a one-way street. Certainly we wouldn't want to have that. Another example is the student information. We could have a parent that put on our student information card, they could put their work location. They could have put, their office at State Farm on their student information card, but their child doesn't reside at the State Farm office on Defense Highway. So we'll have to, again, do a tremendous amount of validation to make sure that, in fact, the mapping system is correlating correctly, that the student information system is accurate, and that students really reside where they are. The old adage of garbage in, garbage out is also very true. Simple things such as a typo. If somebody, types an address on a student information card incorrectly, the software is going to be looking at the county map for a street spelled and named a very specific way. If you transpose an E and an I, a simple clerical error, the software system is going to kick that out as an error and say there is no such street. Oh, yeah, we're going to have to look at it, re-enter the student information, correct the spelling of the street. Now we have a match with the county's map. Voila, we've corrected that error. So there's going to be a tremendous amount of, and I call it validation, but it's essentially stress testing from the small and then incrementally building up to a larger and larger and larger scenario, ultimately encompassing the whole county. But what we absolutely want to ensure is that each and every one of our children are properly routed. We don't want to be in the predicament that some others have fallen into before, where they've wholly relied on the routing system, they've not properly stress tested or validated it, and assumed that everything was going to go well, and then we have the opening day of school and we've got thousands of kids that aren't being picked up or are being picked up in a wrong location, etc. So we want to be very careful, just like you've heard before with our opening day activities. We want to be very careful and very diligent to make sure that the results are accurate, predictable, and will service our youngsters well.
Mrs. Hummer.
Has this company had implemented this software with similar school districts to ours?
Yeah, similar and larger, in fact. So obviously we asked them to provide us comparables. It is nice that you can do this for a school district that has 3 or 8 schools in it. That's not us. We're the 42nd largest school district in the country. So we asked them to provide references for school districts that were as large or larger than ours. So for example, this firm is successfully not just implemented, but is actively being used in school districts like Clark County, Nevada, which has 300 plus thousand schools, down to something that's very similar to ours, which is Jefferson County, Colorado. We're about 80,000 students, or about 84,000 students. They've also been used, are being used in Fort Lauderdale, which again is a very similar school district to ours, not just in terms of size, but also in topography, because they've got canals and a lot of water features, et cetera, just like we have our peninsula system, et cetera. So the evaluation team and a purchasing unit reached out to the transportation and the purchasing elements of those different jurisdictions as part of the due diligence process that they did not just for this one firm, but obviously all 3 of the applicants.
Dr. Frank?
Mr. Shagnovich, Alex, again, thank you very much, again, as an engineer. Thank you for your methodical approach. Pleased that you're willing to take on this responsibility. I wish it wouldn't take so long, but I understand.
I don't have any more board questions, but I have a card from Lisa Van Buskirk for this item.
Thank you and good afternoon. I'm Lisa Van Buskirk. So thank you very much, President Korbelak, Vice President McNally, members of the board, and Dr. Arlato. I am the new chapter leader of Start School Later for Anne Arundel County. And on behalf of my organization, I congratulate you on the proposed purchase of transportation software. The county is now joining the 21st century with its ubiquitous and pervasive use of technology to improve our lives. I look forward to the future news that the analyst position to actually run all this software is being filled, and the software is actually being used. But let us not rest on our laurels. Much work remains in an effort to change AACPS's start times to healthy ones for all students. Next week, the first child will have to arise in the 4 o'clock hour to arrive at their bus stop by 5:13, 10 minutes early for their 5:23 a.m. bus from South County up to Glen Burnie. There's also a 5:30 bus from West County to Broadneck PVA. Dr. Arlato told me on Monday that the $600,000 previously approved in the FY16 budget will only allow one solution, a shift of all start times by 30 minutes, which we all know is not the best solution to offer to our students. Yes, it does move the high school start times, which clearly we're advocating for, but not to the American Academy of Pediatrics or Centers of Disease Control's recommendation early start times of 8:30 a.m. for middle and high school students, or the 8 a.m. earliest start time recommended by both the Maryland Department of Education and the Maryland Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. And it comes at the unacceptable expense of elementary school students whose day will both start late and end even later. Nobody wants this to come at the expense of younger students, and we can do much better. To meet these recommended start times requires all of us to look deep into our souls and push aside the doubt and comfort with the current status quo to do what is right for our students' mental and physical health and their safety. It also requires us to look deep into our pocketbooks, for such change admittedly does not come cheaply. Yes, the task force estimates of upwards of $9 million is real money. I would certainly love to have that much in my bank account, but that represents just 0.6 of the total AACPS budget and would increase transportation from the current 4.9% of the budget to approximately 5.5 of the $1 million budget. And until the software is utilized, we really have no idea what options might emerge or how much they will cost. Not counted in this math is the substantial additional money, education money, wasted by students who can be described as pathologically sleepy and are therefore not learning. Given the timing of Anne Arundel County's budget cycle, the fiscal year relative to the school year, changing the parameters of shift to 8 a.m. for elementary or 8:30 for middle and high schools is admittedly not straightforward or simple. If the Board of Education is serious about this successful implementation of real change and not just the 30-minute lip service change, here are a few areas to find some additional money for the 2016-2017 school year. The Transportation Department will likely have a $1 million in savings as a result of cheaper fuel. Yet the former AACPS Director of Budget and Finance told the county auditor that this savings was not reflected in the approved budget for the school year. How will this $1 million be spent? Could this be used to supplement the $600,000 and allow for an alternative solution? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment on this bundled items? Okay, all those in favor? Motion passes 900. Mrs. Nally.
I'd like to move that we go into closed session to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice on a legal matter and to conduct collective bargaining negotiations or consider matters that relate to the negotiations.
All those in favor? We're now back into closed session, and our next Board of Education meeting will be Wednesday, September 2nd at 10 a.m. Thank you.